close and secure all possible entrances to your home. Switch off all lights. Do not look out of any windows. Do not respond to any knocks on your windows or doors until the all clear is given. Remain silent at all times.
It's like, this dude's too cool for long sentences.
He said the key words. He said,
streaming live around the world, this is Paper Cuts.
We call it a poop bag.
With Brad and Jay.
Yeah, it's got a new show.
It came to you, like, basically straight from my brain.
We're not going to have those devil books in here.
We are live.
Well, hello there, hot stuff. We're back.
What up?
Back again. Where have you been, Brad?
Watching football.
Yeah.
Playing fantasy football, losing.
Kids been playing basketball, so schedules were crazy. All that's over with. So we're back, and we brought company with us.
We did.
Who did we have? We have Robert, don't call me Bob, but go ahead if you want to. Ford. John Boden, soon to be starting an OnlyFans site. And you all know Chad, friend of the show, Lutzke. He is now a cannibal. Welcome, guys. How's everything going?
Going good, man. Thanks again for having us on here.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a rockin' Thursday night. What would you guys normally be doing at this time on Thursday night if it wasn't for the show?
Writing or reading or procrastinating.
At this time of evening, I'd be sitting around complaining that I have to go to bed.
Right.
Yeah, I'd be taking notes on a novel I'm gearing up for right now. Yeah.
Nice.
Getting ready for a novel, did you say?
Yeah. I have my office is starting to look like a forensics lab. I have longhand notes of everything. I have Post-it notes on my corkboard wall. It's an insanity process right now, but yeah, it's getting there. I'm excited for it. It'll be fun.
All right.
So speaking of new stuff, let's start off with you all are all doing something for Crystal Lake Publishing, right?
Yeah.
Affirmative.
How much can you all tease about what that is? I know it's a collection. Is that right?
Yeah. What happened was Joe Meinhardt from Crystal Lake sent me an email and asked if I wanted to do like this 3-author thing where we each write a novella and I can grab whoever I want. And nice. I mean, I didn't get done reading that sentence and I already, knew the roster. And Bob and myself and John were already, what was it, a couple of years ago, had already, planned on working and we kind of started to put together a skeleton of something that we wanted to eventually do. And then we got busy with our own different things and have probably all written 3 books since then. And it's just the way it goes. And this was kind of like let's just, now we have to do this. So let's just do this. So I asked them and they were like, yeah, totally. Let's do this. And so, and then I think what I had told them was we had at the beginning, we had such a, well, what are we supposed to do? There was just this miscommunication. It was pretty funny. Like, are they supposed to intertwine or, cause that's the impression I had was,
none of us are real good at paying close attention.
we're either supposed to write 3 novellas together, or we're supposed to write our own 3 novellas intertwined. And so that's what I thought we were going to do is down the road, we're going to have a meeting and then we were going to, come up with our own novellas and how they're going to intertwine. And then I think a couple months went by and Bob's like, well, I'm done. I'm like, what? And I'm like, well, all right, well, send it to us and we'll check it out and I'll see if it'll prompt anything. And so I kind of wrote mine. I used a kind of a very small protagonist in Bob's book as my or antagonist as my protagonist, and then John just added the Eye of Newt and all of the bat wings and all the stuff that he does. It just made this magic potion.
I used a structure as the tether that mine goes into, but I've read Chad's and I've started reading Bob's, and I can tell you that they're going to be 3 uniquely different yet sort of similar excursions.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah,
So they all are connecting together then.
Yeah,
Slightly.
Yeah, I finished reading Chad's today, and I had to step away from for a few times. I was like, "What the hell, Chad?" No, it's but we all kind of hit those nerves with highly emotional, character-driven, charged, topics that we write about. So when Chad, brought up the idea to us, I was like, "Hell yeah, I'm definitely, I know we're all in." But I think the original conversation that we had a couple years ago, we're still doing that, and that's going to be a much deeper entwined type of writing process, I think, for all three of us. But as Chad said, when this opportunity came up, there was no way we were saying no to this. This was fantastic. It was a blast.
So it's only you three though. They're not going to surprise you last minute or
no. In this book, but there are several that are going to come out with other authors.
Oh, I got you. But you three for this book together, right? I mean, nobody last minute.
Nobody else. No, it's just
somebody else. Okay,
it's 3 novellas/novelettes. I think Bob's is by far the longest one.
Yeah, I had a lot of coffee that month, Chad. A lot of coffee.
And, ironically, and you got it done before anybody.
Yeah, like I said, I had a lot of coffee that month.
But yeah, and I think they all have a similar kind of title. Like, I think they're all like mystery and this and mystery and this or whatever. And I was like, oh, how about mystery and melancholy? It just seemed to fit what we all kind of seem to constantly be dipping our feet into.
So is that the title within Mystery and Melancholy?
I think that's... I know the word melancholy is in there. And I think it is.
That sounds right. That sounds right.
And there's definitely melancholy for all of our stories, and Bob's the one who brings the mystery, I think, most of all. There's maybe a little bit in my... I guess there's a little bit...
You got some stuff going on in yours, for sure.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
That's coming out sometime this year, right?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be.
I think it's supposed to come out late summer.
Okay. Nice. And that's why I wanted to have you all three on here, because I feel like your all's writing not necessarily feels the same, but you all complement each other very well, because I know you all sort of co-write with each other, and your buddies and all that.
They have a handful with each other, right? So
yeah,
I mean, we could go through the library, but that would take us all Sunday, So
absolutely,
yeah, we all have completely different pros, but yet we all fit together really well.
Why do you think that is? Is there something just about your all style?
We're all sad bastards, right?
That's fair.
We all kind of have. Not necessarily like cookie cutter upbringings or histories, but we've all got very similar elements to our growing up, to things that we've had happen to us in our lives. I mean, we've all had like first person, lost a parent or a loved one, and tend to channel. I mean, I tend to channel that in almost everything I write a little bit. I know Chad does too. We've talked about it. It's just, it works its way out.
Yeah.
So I
don't go through every day all gloomy and Eeyore and sad about everything, but
so you're taking experiences from
and all of a sudden there it goes.
Right, from your real life grief and horror, your real life horror, you're bringing all that together for your stories and putting your spin on it. I mean, I've read a lot of Chad stuff, and I know I'm just like, man, a lot of stuff's deep, and it's just like the real life stuff. And then he comes out with the whole cannibal one. I'm like, where's this Chad Lutzke coming from?
I haven't read that one yet.
No, I would agree, and I think I think like you said, John, all of us have similar, maybe not an exact upbringing and stories from our youth, but so many of the same type of marks. It's that old adage we hear all the time: bleed on the page. And I think that's something that we all three of us definitely do with ease. It may not be the structure of the prose that is similar, but it is the tone and the feel of what we're writing. I think that comes across really well, complements each other really well.
Yeah, because I've read all three of you all, and you all have distinct prose, but it all feels sort of similar in like storytelling wise, kind of.
Yeah, we belong all on the same shelf, I guess you'd say, in the bookstore.
Is that what you're drawn to outside of your writing when you're reading other people's books, those kind of same situations? Is that the genre you're drawn to, or do you just get away from what you write and just go find like a creature feature for a while or anything like that? space erotica or whatever.
Space erotica.
Jay that's a joke. He has to slip that in every episode somehow.
I think about it all day. How am I going to fit in space erotica to the conversation? So.
I think space erotica. Bob should go first answering that.
Yeah. It makes me Spaceballs is what came to mind immediately. I think, I'm tended to be drawn to stories more oriented like that. Things that, I worked in advertising for so long, and one of the main sort of rules for that is when you're developing an ad campaign, it has to hit some kind of an emotional nerve. It's got to make you laugh. It's got to make you, emotional and upset. It's got to make you cry. It's got to hit some kind of a nerve, or else it fails ineffective. And I think for stories that I'm drawn to, it's got to affect me emotionally on some level, or else I just feel that it falls flat. Not that there's anything wrong with a good creature feature, once in a while. I mean, hey, there's something to be said for just sitting back and becoming really entertained and having fun with whatever that storyline is. But for me personally, that's most of the type of thing that I'm drawn to, for sure. Yeah.
John, Chad, what are you drawn to?
Yeah, just I like human horror stuff. I already have a tough time with suspension of disbelief for a lot of supernatural stuff. Not with all of it. I mean, it's got to be done really well. I just read John's thing that's going to be coming out there, and a lot of that stuff would never happen, but it's written so well, and it's done so creatively, and the stuff that happens is so original that I don't have issues with that suspension of disbelief. I don't struggle with that, but with a lot of stuff I really kind of do. So I tend to plus that that stuff doesn't really hit me on like an emotional level, whether it be sad or being frightened or anything like that. But real life does scare the hell out of me. So I guess I tend to, not that I'm trying to write scary books. I'm not. I'm just trying to tell stories.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would consider anything I've written scary, but I guess I do. I like some of the movies that I watch are just simply long conversations for 90 minutes, just character driven, dialogue driven, indie stuff that is just like slice of life. I could watch for an hour and a half, no action, no car chases, no fires. That stuff bores me, but people having deep conversations and going through this period in their life, this intimate moment with a small intimate cast, I really get off on that kind of stuff. So I guess that's probably why I tend to write the same kind of thing.
I think as I've gotten older, I used to like to read a lot of extreme stuff and a lot of monstery stuff, and just, as I've gotten older, I don't have the patience for it. It gets on my nerves after a while. Once in a while, something will hook me, but anymore, I tend to read like stuff like Ron Rash and David Joy, and it's like that rural, sometimes a little bit weird, sometimes not really, just kind of bleak. Because I kind of feel like that's where I operate, and it's kind of refreshing to not feel like, I'm a weirdo.
But I'm glad you said that about extreme stuff, though, because you actually had a story in No Anesthetic.
So old.
I know. But tell me, first of all, who's you
That's
write
like
it with?
10 years old, that story.
Who's Brian Rosenberger? I'm showing. Sorry, I don't know who that is.
Brian Rosenberger. I met him when we first started Shock Totem magazine, probably way back in like 2010, 2011.
Okay.
He had a collection out called As the Worm Turns that I reviewed and I dug. And we just struck up a friendship, and we wrote that story together way back when.
I mean, it's not too extreme. I mean, it was one of the lesser extreme ones in the collection.
It's pretty gross.
Yes, more gross than extreme. So,
but we just we moved on and did our different things. But over the years, he subbed it to places, and it's always like, oh hell no. And then he was like, hey, these people took it. And I was just like, oh, God bless them.
The guy who runs it, Nick, he's our buddy. He's another YouTuber, Spooky Noodles.
Right.
I mean, it's a fun story, but it's Chad, you wouldn't like it.
Maybe I just don't. What you mean? Because I hate what was it called again?
Marlene the Magnificent. You
Yeah.
hate that.
Yeah. You're above that, John.
I mean, I wouldn't put it too much into the extreme category. More of the gross,
it's just
vulgar side of today's extreme.
It's kind of like Ed Lee. It's like just
It's
I mean,
just blank.
I mean, it's not really what I do, but I'm not ashamed of it either. It was.
So Chad ventured out onto the extreme edge a little bit with his newest book.
Oh, I've done much worse.
Extreme light, let's say.
I've done much worse in some short stories. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I've read any of your short stories, but all your novellas I've read, like that felt a lot different than what I've read from you.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess you mentioned or someone did like kind of like gross. I think it was Jay. Gross versus like extreme. I think maybe gross would be a better. I've written a couple that are just absolutely repulsive, like embarrassing. So, and they're not. They're in some anthologies that are, kind of like didn't see a lot of, spotlight. So maybe that's good. I don't know.
I mean, that's the kind of stuff you do when you're feeling your way out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. Do you think people like? I think I found that when some writers are first starting out and they want to do horror, they kind of gravitate towards the extreme because then they're trying to see how much they can one up themselves. Make it gross and graphic and vulgar, and thinking it's extreme. Starting out, and then to get under that horror umbrella, and then they start filling themselves out and expanding a little bit. But do you think that's something that a lot of young writers do when they're first starting out doing something like this, or did you guys do something like that? Okay.
I mean, I know the first story I sold ever was to Sideshow Press. I don't know if any of you remember them. That's going back, and it was in a compilation or an anthology called Black Ink Horror. I think it was like number 7 volume. And it was a story called Peter, and it was gross and it wasn't very good, but it was the first thing I got out there. And it's got, but I was cutting my teeth when I was doing that. So I started to use some of my metaphors and do that sort of thing that I would then go on to do more of.
Mm-hmm.
But it had a dildo scene in it. So
Peter.
So there's that.
But it wasn't in space, though, right?
No. Well, I should have said spoiler alert.
In case anyone picks that one up.
Yeah, now you ruined it for everyone, John. I'll never be able to fully appreciate
Enjoy
the dildo.
Peter ever again.
No, it's ruined now. Thanks.
No.
No, I would agree that with though, younger writers sometimes will tread down that path because I think, when I was younger, I used to love the slash films. And then I reached a point as I was maturing and had been exposed to more complex character-driven type of movies. I was like, that doesn't really excite me too much anymore. I moved past that. It's not a big deal. But I think the same thing happens in the written word, as well. I certainly wrote, I had in one of my short stories in my collection is a story called Maggie Blue, and it was inspired from a co-worker of mine who was terrified of cockroaches, absolutely beyond belief terrified. And I wrote this story about a sex worker who was escaping her boss, and she stopped in the Nevada desert and ate a very unfortunate breakfast burrito. And something laid eggs inside her.
There you go.
And it's by far the grossest story that I've ever written. I wrote that probably, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago. But versus extreme, now my last novel that I have out, I would say it leans definitely more towards the extreme horror spectrum of things. But it's a real life. I could read about this in the newspaper tomorrow, and I wouldn't necessarily be shocked to come across that. It's real life with a slight twist on the dial. And like Chad said earlier, real life, scares the hell out of you. Yeah, look at the news for a couple of days. It's terrifying what's going on.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a misconception with horror. Like if you're sort of a layman, not really versed in it, that it's all extreme and bloody and gory and graphic.
Yeah.
But that's just like one little sliver of it that I think
Sure.
the majority of people think it's what it is, but it's not really that. That's just a tiny little part of what horror is.
That's pretty much what I was going to say.
Everyone, I think,
was the people who are doing that. Maybe it's, I think it's a combination between like what Bob said, where it's before you get jaded, and it's the like this freshman stuff that you're really into, and then I think it's a combination between that and then maybe not truly understanding horror and thinking that it has to have certain elements that it doesn't need, like blood. I mean, some of the scariest movies out there, Blair Witch Project, there's no blood in there. You don't even see anything.
Right.
But it's pretty terrifying. So a lot of my older stuff is all kind of like Twilight Zone-y, because I was just such a big fan of going for this ride, and then at the end, it just smacks you hard with some kind of, truth or twist. And so a lot of my stuff, my stuff is still kind of like that, but not quite as much as, not so Twilight Zone-y as it used to be.
Yeah. Regina Hitchcock said that blood is boring and can, especially if it's used just for shock value, I think.
Yeah.
If it's not bringing anything to the actual story, it's just there just for the shock.
And not that there's anything wrong with extreme stuff.
Right.
Brian Boyer's extreme. I love his stuff.
But there's definitely a market for it, and it's definitely got its place in the genre.
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree.
So for me, I feel like if it's extreme just for the sake of being extreme, like just for the shock value, it sort of loses its edge. But if that's but if it's extreme as like part of the story,
right,
I feel like it makes more sense that way.
Yeah. Rather than just blatantly putting, some guy's getting his head cut off in there for, giggles. Sure.
Like, what can I do to top myself now in
Right.
this next chapter, as opposed to, well, does it fit within the confines of the story I'm trying to tell?
Like Ketchum's Girl Next Door. I mean, that to me, that's extreme in a different sense. But all that stuff was crucial because it was, a true story that he took a spin on. But then if someone was to write the similar thing to that, and not have any of that to do with the actual main plot line, you're just doing it for the graphic shock in your face, and it just kind of takes me away from it. So,
So like Bob,
Chad,
I just finished Bob's book, Burner, and I would consider parts of it to be extreme.
Yeah.
It's not like over the top graphic, gory or extreme, but just extreme, sex trafficking and all the stuff that goes along with that. So that's
torture. Yeah.
Yeah. Torture.
That book's destined to be a classic.
It's
no, seriously, in like 30 years, that one's going to be talked about the way they talk about Let's Go Play at the Adams. I'm telling you right now. It's going to be one that like a lot of people might have missed when it first came out, but people are going to talk about it and then they're going to rediscover it.
That would be. I hope you're right about that, buddy. It's the thing with that is though I did so much research and read so many case studies and watched a lot of documentaries and news sources. The things that I ended up cutting out of Burner at the end were so much worse than what I left in, and because even though these things that I read about existed and happened in real life, if I had included them in a written work, it would have seemed over the top.
Oh yeah.
Like, you're just putting that in there to one up whatever this last scene was or whatever.
Right.
And and that was just, man, that was depressing. When I finished writing that, I felt like I couldn't take enough showers for a while.
Yeah. I was going to ask, like
rough
your headspace with that. Did you have to get away from writing for a while and just kind of clear everything out?
I turned to something a lot lighter on my next project. Yeah. But it was such an unusual project for me. I wrote the first draft in a month, which I normally do not ever write that quickly. But I was angry at myself. I was drinking a lot of coffee, maybe a little bit of tequila once in a while. But I was angry at my body if I had to get up and use the men's room. Like I was like, what is this? Like I don't want to stop. No, I was. When I woke up in the morning till the end of the night when I crashed hard, I was obsessed with working on this. So it was a very unusual process for me. But like you say, real life is much, much scarier than anything fiction writers could come up with.
Like subject matter wise, was that one of your harder books to write?
Most definitely. Absolutely. Just like I say, just reading the case studies and watching documentaries on human trafficking and sex trafficking and different various kinks and fetishes that are specific to that world. Yeah, that was a really rough book to research and write, but at the same time, I think, you know, if you're entering a world where you're writing about that kind of thing, you have to do the research first to make it true. You have to make it real, you know, to do your homework behind it, or else it's just gonna be one of those things that falls flat. It's just not going to ring true. So it's unfortunate because now you can't get that shit out of your head, but it's one of those, it's what happens. It's one of those things.
Chad, what was the research you did for Cannibal Creator?
I ate a bunch of people.
Just cooking
my neighbors.
I was going to say.
Wait to hear this.
Yeah.
Eating hobos.
I mean, besides becoming a cannibal, what was the research?
Chad, what did you think of Jay's review? Did that make you laugh?
It was pretty hilarious, man. I was waiting for him to break character, and he never did.
I was totally at the end. I was like, "Oh, I
did. That's the beauty of editing. You know, every time you saw a zoom, that was actually a cut. So that was."
Yeah, no, I didn't do any research other than just having seen, you know, the stuff that I was paying homage to, the Italian cannibal films from the 70s and 80s. I didn't. I mean, there was really no. The only research I did was charter planes and charter jets, and the difference between the two, and how the heck you get those doors open and closed, and I watched a bunch of countless videos on YouTube on how to open them from the inside but not close them, and I ended up asking my buddy Jeremy Wagner about that, because he's constantly flying in not a private jet, but he's always chartering a jet to go back and forth between his two houses and stuff with his rock star lifestyle. So I asked him a little bit, and he was able to answer a couple of questions for me. So that's really the only research.
It's funny you did that, and that's such like a tiny, minuscule part of the book.
Yeah,
yeah.
For you to do all that research on.
All that research,
and some
part.
And some Spanish. I had just a tiny bit of Spanish in that book, and I wanted to make sure that it was authentic. So I asked Gabino, and I think he forgot about me. So I asked a bunch of other people, and then I got different answers. But then I ultimately got one, and I think Gabino apologized. He did forget about me.
But you know, if you would have done the door the wrong way, someone would have complained about it. But that's not how that door opens in that airplane.
That would have been like 2 stars off the review if somebody saw the door was wrong.
Yep.
It took me out of the whole story. It was unrealistic.
By the way, my bathroom door, Max Booth III, opens just like yours.
My master bedroom bathroom door, because me and Jay were talking about it. It was I don't know.
Yeah. So true story. A little side step here. I watched the movie and I sent a message to Brad. I was like, I've never seen a bathroom with a door that opens out, or door. Yeah, a door that opens out. And he was like, "Yo, it happens." Then I came down here into my basement, walked around into the bathroom, and the door opens out. And I've lived in this house for like 7 years now.
But you just never really thought about it.
Exactly.
Yeah. It was like 2 weeks later. It was like, my bastard bathroom, that door opens out too. It's like I didn't even realize it.
Hold on a second. Now I'm going to sit here and think about my bathroom doors.
Yeah.
Jay was just looking for something to bitch about.
He was. He was like, "It ruined the whole movie."
It did. I was like, I could defunct this whole movie right now. And we actually have Max coming on here in like a month or so. But and I came down in the basement. I'm like, oh shit, mine opens out too. So, anyways, back to
John. Do you do much research for your stuff?
None. I just flat out make shit up. Well, actually, there's a huge amount of personal detail in all my stuff. Like I literally just like mine my upbringing, like settings, locations, all that stuff. They're like legit, just like my grandparents' house, or like you've read Out Behind the Barn. That is my great grandparents' farm.
Nice,
like stuff like that, and that's how lazy I am about research.
How much of Jedi Summer is from your actual childhood? Quite a bit.
Well, he was a Jedi growing up. That's his research.
If I had to give you a percentage, I would probably say about 88%, maybe 90%. of that is
88's
true.
very specific.
In fact, I've played a game with people where they try to guess what's real and what's not, and usually the things they think are not, I surprise them.
Oh yeah. It's
Go
kind
ahead,
of
take a shot. Go ahead.
The hanging man with the coins in his mouth.
Chad, you know that. You know that's not true.
I want to say you're the little brother seeing dead animals, but I feel like that would actually be something that really happened.
No, that didn't.
No, that didn't.
The
Is your
floor,
brother's name really
the
Roscoe?
floor caving in, falling.
That's true.
Did
That was Christmas 1979. I know because I got Star Wars figures and I was excited, and we jumped up and down, and the living room fell off of the trailer. Fucking true.
So this could have been the game for tonight. He could have just
could have
told
been.
us
Could have
stuff
been.
in the
Bob, take a
story.
shot. Although you know, I've told you most of it.
I know a good chunk of it. I do. But here's the thing. Like, John, when you and I decided to write, I think I had read. I think it was after a reading I did of Ring of Fire, and you came up after. We had known each other for a while, but you came up after and said, "I think that my family and your family might have had picnics together when we were kids, or something like that, something along those lines."
It was it was Last Firefly of Summer.
Oh, that's right. There you go. But you do such a great job of mining, like you said, of mining your memories and your past and putting a slight twist on things and adding and embellishing and making it something that is so incredibly authentic. Because like you said, 80 to 90% of it is authentic. It is real.
You just have to be careful with names and certain things because, not all my family members are probably going to would be keen.
Well,
so I was going to say, what's your family members think about your writing? Are they like?
I honestly don't know if many of them read my stuff. I know I have a couple cousins that have read my stuff and liked it, but and my mom is like my absolute biggest and best fan. Like she reads everything I finish first.
So there are no like whispers at family reunions. That's the guy over there that
no, we don't have family reunions.
That's good.
John's mom beta read Cannibal Creator.
Really
nice.
Yeah,
my mom is awesome.
I saw she has Twitter now, which is funny.
She's a friend her. She's great.
Like my mom would not even be able to figure out how to get into Twitter.
Well, that's not a bad thing, man.
Yeah,
that's not a bad thing.
Twitter
I didn't know until Brad showed me last year sometime.
Some days I just I go on. I'm like, what's going on? I'm out. I just tap right out. Don't even scroll.
I miss so much, and I expect him to tell me, and he doesn't. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So
Joe, with writing all the personal stuff, do you ever feel like you go too far? Like, no, that's too personal. I don't want to put that in there. You take it out.
I have. But then sometimes, like, there's so much stuff. Like, there was some stuff in Jedi that I almost didn't put in, like the thing with my grandfather dying. That's all 100% how it was. But I felt that I know I couldn't have been the only one that had to deal with that situation that have ever felt that way. So I thought it was more important to just leave it in there. So that's what I kind of do. I mean, there's not really anything that I've been like ashamed of or thought was too personal. There's some stuff I just thought it didn't really serve much purpose, and I don't put it in there.
Okay. So you have a new book coming out soon, right?
Late July or August. I have Snarl coming out from Stygian Sky is putting it out. Jeremy Wagner and Jared Barbie and I think Patrick Harrison, right? Is it the three of them?
I think he's like the PR guy. I think, yeah.
Yeah. So that's going to be an interesting one.
So is that a novel or is that a novella?
It's a novella. They weren't really planning on taking novellas yet, but I conned them into reading.
It was just too damn good, right?
I conned them into reading.
It is.
You broke the mold for them.
It's very good.
Took it. I actually set out to write. It wasn't supposed to be horror or weird at all. I was just going to do like some kind of an Appalachian noir kind of a Lansdale whodunit thing.
That's right up my alley.
But it's mine. So it did get weird.
It kind of if you guys have read any of Bob and John's stuff together, like Rattlesnake Kisses and Cattywampus, it kind of feels like they started a book, and then John's like, "Here, I'm gonna finish that by myself." I'm gonna
Funny you brought that up too, huh, Bob? So we got the third one of that one just about done, and
we do.
My word.
We're
That's
closing in on it.
The Knuckle Bucket series, right? Is that what it's called?
That's true. Yeah, it's been such a blast. Well, we had John and I had talked about writing together, and we've been kicking around different ideas. And I had found this. I have an old scrapbook with. For the longest time, I cut out the weirdest newspaper clippings that popped up. I lived in Philadelphia. There was always some weird stuff to cut out, and I came across this article that I think it's since been turned into a documentary, but it was about a pastor down south who tried to kill his wife with rattlesnakes.
That's one way.
I got a message on Facebook, and that was all it was this grainy picture of this headline
of the newspaper. Yeah, and the story really went into a very different direction. But when John and I wrote Rattlesnake Kisses, it was just such a blast, such a fun time. And the world that we were working in just became so much fun. A knuckle bucket is a slang term for an old speakeasy gambling shop or bar. And we just kind of ran with it. But yeah, Chad, you're right. It's chaos. It's absolute chaos, but it's so much fun, working with those things, working in that world.
So do those books, do they tie in with each other at all, being in part of a series, or are they all kind of standalone?
I think just in setting mostly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There may be some crossover characters at some point, but so far it's the world. Yeah, it's the world itself.
What's the process of writing one together? Do you go chapter for chapter, or do you do like 6 chapters, say now it's your turn to finish it, or how do you divvy it up between the two of you? Or is there a formula at all? You just
not quite.
Okay.
I don't know. I think, John, you started. I think you sent me the chapter of the first chapter of Rattlesnake Kisses.
I wrote the first chapter at the bridge.
Yeah, exactly.
And sent it to you because I think you replied, "You fucker."
Yeah, pretty much. That sounds right. That sounds right.
Now look what you're making me do.
Now here we go.
Yeah, because I was ill prepared to start it, but then it was like, well, I can't. This is great, So we just went from there. But I think we will write a chapter or two. Like, there's no real. We're not locked into anything, and I think that's what makes it so much fun. Is it's just a free form sort of thing. I know John. You know that old thing where you end a chapter and there's a knock at the door to leave suspense. Yeah.
I did that like 7 chapters in a row.
Yeah, he did it in a row. I'm like, what the hell am I supposed to do with this? So I took the little voodoo doll that I have made of his mutton chop hair, and I stuck needles in it for a while to stop doing that after that. But no, it's there's no real rhyme or reason, and we just kind of play it loose, and it's been just such amazing fun. It's awesome. It's great time.
But the new one is just. It's going to be big. Like we're in novel territory with it.
Yeah, I think we're gonna hit about 50,000 words or so easily on this. Easily.
Do you have a title?
Kind of reminds me of the old game where someone would start a story and just end it, and then someone else will pick it up from there.
That's exactly what we do.
Yeah. That's what it reminds me of. So,
100%. But no, it's just been a blast. Such a good time.
Do you all have a title for the new one, or is it still something you're thinking about?
Black Salve.
Nice.
If you're not familiar with what it is, look it up.
Yeah.
Is that one with somebody, or is that going to be independent?
That's them too.
We're not sure yet.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not sure yet.
I got you. Never mind.
Yeah.
It's too bad that it wasn't the 5th in this series. Then you could call it Black Sabbath.
That's terrible.
It is. I'm sorry.
Week's almost over.
Chad, when you and John have written together, do y'all have the same sort of process, or is it more structured?
It depends. I mean, we are in I can't even say the middle of. We have started 2 other things that are probably a little bit more like what they did, but Out Behind the Barn wasn't like that because John had written like a 3,500 word story for that, and it was already done, and he was just kept submitting it, and I was trying to convince him to write it longer, and he had tried, adding more to it, and instead of, because it's such a beautiful story, instead of being lost in an anthology somewhere that people are going to read for a month or two and then it's going to be forgotten. And so, but he kept submitting it, and the last time he submitted it, I said, I hope it gets rejected because I really want you to fatten this up. And then I think he tried, got really frustrated, and said, here, you do it. And I said, well, and I told him what I wanted to do. I wanted to add 2 or 3 characters and stuff.
I was kind of a dick to Chad for a while.
Well, Chad was kind of being a dick to you, wanting your story to get rejected. So
no, not really. But I mean, I was, what's the word? I'd say willfully
resistant.
stubborn.
You were resistant. I mean, it was your baby, and I was trying to be respectful as possible. And so, I think I ended up writing 2,000 or 3,000 words and sent it to him, and then he eased up and he's like, okay, this might be cool.
And then we just knocked it out.
And then we just wrote the rest of it together. And
I think I was only adamant. I said we could not change the end. The end had to stay.
Oh, dude, Oh, and I'm sure I was adamant too. The ending is perfect. So it's like I've always likened it to. I've always called it a Boden sandwich because the beginning and the end are pretty much intact as they were in that 3,500 word story before we added 15,000 words or so.
I mean, if that's the extent of the fights when writing a story together, that's pretty good. If you're looking at that many words and minimal arguments, because I mean, you look like a band writing a 3-minute song, they're going to fight back and forth for a while for a 3-minute song.
We're all too chill to really fight.
Yeah.
Are you all working on whatever the trailer park one is?
We haven't. We have started that. We're a chapter or 2 in. We're not very far in, but we've got
one got shelved when I moved. We started that right before we sold our house and we moved, and a lot of stuff got set aside.
Yeah, we were going to plow through it, but yeah, John got himself a nice house, moved into that, and was really busy with that, and so I put it in the back burner, and then I got busy with other stuff.
Then we had found other things that we had to do.
But we had started a book before that, like a year or 2 ago, that's even better. That promises to be a really good book, but we haven't. And that
one's going to be a good one.
Yeah, we've gotten pretty far in that, but
just teasing us
nowhere,
with that.
nowhere close to.
Yeah, that's all you get.
That's all we get. It's just going to be really good. That's all you know.
It's really good.
Can we talk about that thing behind Robert there looking at us?
Yeah, let's circle back to Snarl and to his friend.
I don't want to really tell you about that because
Can we show it? You got the picture?
You can show it.
We'll show it over there.
Then when Snarl comes out, when you read it, you'll have an epiphany where you're like, oh. But
it's like a big teaser here. That's what it is.
Tell everybody where you got that from, John.
I made it.
He made it.
I made it for Bob
to haunt me in my sleep. Now everyone just remember this. Trust me.
Just put that on that can be the book cover. Just put that on the cover of the book and be done with it.
Don't tempt John. He would do. I can see him doing
it. I already submitted an idea I had for the cover, but we'll see what happens.
Do you know who the cover artist is going to be? Because they get pretty good people.
No, that really what the release date's the only info I really have so far.
I had Daniel Sarah do Ross's books. I love his stuff.
Yeah, he's good.
Oh yeah.
He did an illustration for a story of mine once that was in Splatterpunk.
Oh yeah.
I could see John using that cat with a couple cigarette butts laying around it and a license plate maybe and. Old rusted license plate.
Can you give us a hint about what Snarl's about at all? A little tease. Without giving too much away.
It's about a middle, probably in his 30s, guy who always thought he wanted to be a writer, but he never really had the backbone to really pursue it.
Mm-hmm.
And he reconnects with his high school crush, who gets him involved in a situation that doesn't quite pan out the way you would think. That's pretty much it. It's just nothing really goes the way you think it's going to go. None of the characters are quite what you think they are, except for Bob's little buddy, and that's exactly what it is.
That is, I'm telling you, I walked away from the laptop when I hit that point. I was
That's one of the first times that I ever wrote backwards. I wrote the
yeah?
ending for that was the first thing I wrote. And then I had to figure out how to get there.
But the ending of that, dude, I mean, I was like, I really enjoyed the book, and I was like sitting there, reading it for whatever, how many days it took me to read it. And then I was like, oh, that was pretty good. And then that got the ending. I was like, there it is.
Yeah.
It's freaking Boden's tears right there.
Yeah. I agree with you 100%, Chad. I was physically incapable of speech for a solid 15, 20 minutes. I was trying to explain it, and I was like, nah, I can't talk. I'll just, I'll go collect myself. And you guys are always so good at wrecking people, but man, Snarl just hit me right in the no-no place. I was done for a while.
That's the no-no place right there.
Is that what you were going for, John?
There's your blurb right there. The no-no place.
Hit me in the no-no place.
It hit me in the no-no place.
So how hard was that? Starting having the ending and then having to fill in the rest. I mean, that you said it's the first time you've done it.
Oh no, I've done that again. I do that kind of shit all the time because I'm ridiculous. I'll have like a chapter that's like the end, or it's like somewhere in the middle, and I'm like, now I got to figure out
how to get
the rest of
how to get there. Yeah.
But
so do you normally go ahead?
Snarl was tough to start. I kind of had the characters, but it was tough getting from there to the end.
Do you normally just pants your stories, or do you have like these total goals you try to hit? Pants everything.
Everything that I do is pantsed.
Just life is pantsed.
Life is pantsed, especially these days. It just gets pantsier every day.
I know, Chad, you pants most of the time, don't you?
Yeah, always. With the exception of half of Cannibal Creator. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Bob? Do you pants or do you outline your stuff?
Well,
you got all the post-it notes and everything.
I mean,
you must.
I don't know about outlining, but I take a ridiculous amount of notes ahead of time, and when I hit a point where I'm writing down snips of dialogue and conversations and certain details about the character, then I know, okay, I'm ready to actually start writing prose on this point. But I don't really tightly outline anything much more. I think I used to quite a lot, even to the point of outlining short stories. Like I was kind of nuts about it, but I think I reached a point where I just felt more confident in how I was writing and the process itself, and that if I surprise myself when I'm working on something, most of the time, hopefully, it'll surprise the reader as well, because I didn't see it coming as it was developing, so I hope the reader won't either. I almost never outline extensively anymore. No.
Chad, do you and John, do you all come to those moments like, oh, I didn't realize this was going to happen to the story. Let's follow this and see where this thread goes?
Oh, constantly. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I just finished the thing that I just that these guys just read today that's going in our collection thing for Crystal Lake. I didn't really have a true end, and if you've read enough of my stuff, you know that I usually have like this last sentence or two that I write that is meant to dwell, long after you've put the book down or reflect. I didn't have that yet. And until like I think the last day that I wrote it, and so I had to go back just a little bit and change a couple things. Probably the biggest time that ever happened was Slow Burn on Riverside. There's a huge twist in there that I didn't know was going to happen, and so I had to go back and change some things. And just like Bob said, that had I planned that out, the whole book out, I may have not run into that thing that I wasn't expecting, that I never would have saw coming. So, and no reader has so far for that.
I didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
It happened. I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah, well,
I wanted to go back, and because me and Beard were talking about it, was like, we should maybe go back and read, see if there's clues to it along the way.
That character was, a character just like anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got toward the end of the book and I was like, what if that character isn't just like everyone else? And so, yeah, I went back in and I made some changes, made sure that if somebody reread it or went back, that they'd be like, oh, okay, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's probably the biggest example of just going. But yeah, just about everything that I write, I don't know where it's going at all.
What about you, John?
I don't plan anything. Like, really. And it seems like the more stressed I get about it, like if there's a deadline or something, the crazier it tends to go.
So have you had those moments where you sort of shock yourself with where the story went?
Yeah, a little bit sometimes. Mm-hmm. Especially the one that Chad read today, the one that I did for the thing. There's a lot of stuff that came out near the second half of that I wasn't really. It just happened, and I was like, oh, huh.
And I'm real proud of John too, man, because I was getting on John about, you know, we gotta make this deadline and stuff, you know, push them. And I knew that he was sweating over it, and he was writing more than he usually would under duress, you know, because he's got this job
day job
that wants his blood every day at 2 a.m. and you know, working ridiculous hours. And I'm over here going, don't forget to get this done, boy.
I can't tell you, I'm not gonna lie, I cussed you. I'd be like, Bob, I'm gonna fucking kill Chad.
So so when I was reading that today, I kind of looked for that. I was like, is at any point is this going to be dialed in because of me? And it is not. It's awesome, man. I love it.
I'm about a third of the way into it, I think. And yeah, there's been already, you know, and I think, Chad, you tweeted, I think it was yesterday or last night, that you had finished reading it and just talking about John's prose.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm hitting some of those points today as I'm going through it. I'm like,
ridiculous.
Man, it's like, what the hell? But yeah, no, it's so good so far. It's amazing.
Yeah, I read his stuff and I'm like, I can't do that.
I love John's prose. Is there something magical about it? Feel weird in your beard?
You guys are making me feel weird.
I know, he's like, stop it. Like, keep coming. Stop.
I did want to ask, with the project y'all are doing together, are you all just writing your own stories and other people reading them and that's it? Or are y'all looking for critiques back and forth to change this or that? Or
no, I don't think that we're doing that. We don't have time to do that.
So just, it is what it is then.
Yeah.
Bob usually helps me clean mine up because I am so sloppy.
Yeah, you've gotten better.
Yeah.
Well, this one you can tell I was rushing. Like you can tell I was.
But it's still better.
Yeah, I have no doubt there was steam coming off your keyboard a couple times as you were typing this one out. But yeah,
I would message Chad at the end of the day and be like, "Dude, I got 1,500 words done today." That's never happened.
And then Chad's like, "Yeah, I got 6,000."
Yeah, he's like, "I got 4 books."
I wrote 3 books today.
Yeah,
and then I made two book covers, and then I played some records, and I'd be like, "You're a piece of shit."
He did a painting and watched The Shining for the 100th time.
Yeah.
Yep.
He actually wrote The Shining Part 4.
Yep.
So John, before you go here, because you said you're going to leave early because you got to work, you want to play a little game with everybody real quick?
Okay.
Play a game here. So the game is, I took a sentence from everybody's synopsis. So picked a couple books from Bob, a couple books from Chad, a couple books from John, took a sentence from the synopsis. I'm going to just read you the sentence and see if you all can guess what book it's from. And Jay loves these little stupid videos I make for this.
Did you make a new one for this?
Game. I made a new one for this. We haven't done a game for a long time.
Now, do we have to like ring a buzzer, or are you asking each individual person?
So I'll ask Chad to go first and see if he can guess. And if you miss it, we'll go to the next person.
Okay.
Here's our budget.
This video is called. This is what all the budget for the show goes to. This 4-second video. What's that book?
Oh gosh,
that took you all day, didn't it?
Took me about an hour.
I like it.
All right, so we'll start with Chad. So the quote from the synopsis is, "People die but hang around, pets too."
That is Jedi Summer by John Boden.
That is correct.
We should have like a like
There
a
should be prizes.
ringer. Yeah.
Prizes.
Well, you got to make them. It's sitting there behind Bob right now.
Yeah, right here.
There you go. You could just make the winner gets another one of those.
Do you know how long it took me to find a cat?
We're gonna make some calls for you. We're gonna call Build a Bear. That's what we're gonna do.
There you go. John Boden, Build-A-Bear.
Get thrown out.
Just the fucked up edition.
John, that is a writing prompt. That's the first sentence of something you have to write. Just that. Do you know how long it took me to find a cat? That's it. Just go from there.
Good.
Whatever
I
it
had
is.
my wife scouring thrift stores for like 2 months. She'd come over and be like, no cat.
No cat. No, you didn't go searching for. At least it's not roadkill.
No.
Don't give me
All right,
any
John.
ideas, man.
John, the sentence for you is: the transformation is pristine and beautiful and filled with pain.
I want to say that's a Bob Ford line, but I'm not sure what book it is.
It is a Bob Ford book.
I'm going to say, is it Burner?
It is Burner.
That's what I was going to say too.
Oh, here we go.
All right, Bob.
Yep.
So both children grin and settled in their beds, eyes fixed to the ceiling.
Is that out behind the barn?
It is out behind the barn.
Sweet.
I was telling Chad earlier before we started that getting the ones from his synopsis were so hard because all of his are like 2 sentences anyway. It's just like, this is a coming of age tale set in the 80s, and that's all it says.
There you go. Yep. Deal with it.
I don't think you're gonna stump them though. That's what she does.
No, we'll see. So, Chad, this is for you. Every stop they make introduces lies, violence, and memories best left buried.
Is it one of the Knuckle Bucket books?
It is a Knuckle Bucket book.
Could you repeat the?
Can we get a lifeline? Yeah. Every stop they make introduces lies, violence, and memories best left buried.
Those books kind of fuse together for me. I'll say Katie Wampus.
Incorrect.
Okay.
John, you want to guess what the other
Rattlesnake
one was?
Kisses.
Rattlesnake Kisses. You had a 50-50 shot.
Black Sabbath.
Black Sabbath on the 5th. All right, Chad. All right, John. Music, beer, skateboarding, and tragedy.
Oh my God, I'm trying to remember the name of it. That's Chad's.
They're so short, so you know it's Chad's.
I know, but it's not. Is it Slow Burn on the Riverside?
It is Slow Burn.
I was trying to think
sorry,
of the first.
incorrect.
I was trying to think of the first one, but I can't remember the name of it.
It's not Slow Burn. I'm sorry. It's the other one.
Not the one I'm trying to think of the name of.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it.
Bob, you want to take a guess?
I'm having a brain
man.
fart. Watch me cheat and look at my bookcase here.
See, I know. It's got a purplish cover with characters on it, I think.
Music, beer, skateboarding, and tragedy.
It's the same deep water as you.
Yeah, same deep water as you.
Oh man, I was.
I had to cheat and look because I was just like, dude, I know what it is.
Damn it.
All right, Bob. All
We're
he
the
wants
worst
is to
friends.
What's
You're
that?
good so far. So this one is: all he wants is to come home to the woman he loves.
That's Boden Spun Onion.
Nice.
Yeah.
Remember, I read that book and I texted John. I was like, "How do you pronounce his name? Is it Deke or is it DK?" Because I was doing the video review. I was like, "I don't want to pronounce it wrong."
You were like one of the first people that didn't ask me how you say the title.
Spunganian.
So
Well,
many
you got
people
it.
asked that.
You got it spelled out in the front of it.
That's what I said. I was
The
like,
whole
it's
dictionary
phonetically
part.
spelled out.
I didn't know it. I think I heard Beard say the way it was supposed to have been. So, because I was thinking something different.
No, that is like the modern Homer's Odyssey. I mean, it was such a blast
I
to read.
said the same thing in my review. That was like Homer's Odyssey.
So much fun, such a blast.
It's a great book.
I love the almost fantastical elements in it, like the lady with like the fawn legs and stuff like that, and the whatever the big blob dude was. I loved that character.
Yeah,
the behemoth.
Yes, the behemoth. All right, I think is it Chad that's up?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. He loves his wife, loses more than he wins, and lives his days in the gray zone between right and wrong.
This is Ford.
Ford.
Okay, yeah. Is it the is it the Samson and Delilah? Or is that what it is?
Very close,
Samson.
buddy. Yep, Samson and Denial.
Denial.
Yep, you nailed it, though.
You should have given Chad one of his own to see if he could remember.
I was thinking about it. All right, John. He's building a door, and what's on the other side is terrifying.
That's mine. That's Walk the Darkness Down.
Nice. And then Bob, one more, and then we have a bonus one. But when her teenage son shows up, things take a very dark turn.
Oh man. All right, they're getting more difficult here now. That's not a Foster Homes and Flies, is it? Am I wrong about that? Nope, I screwed the pooch. I got nothing on that. No. You guys got me.
Chad, you want to take a guess?
Slow Burn on Riverside.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, man.
And I've got a bonus one for you all. So whoever first will win this one. This is for everybody. Neighborhood dogs erupt in a cacophony of terrified barking. You're jerked from your peaceful slumber.
That's got to be a Bob Ford one.
He doesn't remember.
If it might be, but I don't remember.
So this one's an anthology that you all were in. Some of you all were in.
Oh, say it again.
When the neighborhood dogs erupt in a cacophony of terrified barking, you're jerked from your peaceful slumber.
Looking at all my...
It's fairly recent, too.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Man, I don't even know what we were all in together.
I don't know if John was in it. I know Bob and Chad were.
Okay.
I was going to say, I can count on like two fingers the number of anthologies I was in.
Man, I'm going to start reading back cover copy.
Yeah, me too. I don't know, man.
You got any guesses, Bob, before I tell you?
Is it One of Us, the Frank Arrington anthology?
Mm-mm.
Man, I got nothing.
Survive With Me? But is Bob in that?
It's Something from the Something.
Something from the Something. I still don't know, man.
It's a Midnight from Beyond the Stars.
Oh, okay.
Oh, see, that's why I wasn't in the stars when I was in the Pentagram one.
Oh, were you not? I thought you were in that one.
See, Brad, you're throwing trick questions at us, man.
Trick questions.
You messed your own game up, Brad.
I messed it up, man.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Cool. I think we did Stephen King books with you last time, didn't we, Chad? Is that what we did last time? Stephen King trivia or Shining trivia or something?
It's some Shining trivia, and I think... No, yeah, I think just Shining trivia.
Yeah, I think it was Shining, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, you guys asked some hard ones. I thought I was ready. I mean, I got most of them, but there was a couple that...
There was one that was like, how much salt did they use or something? It was like 500,000 pounds of salt for the outside snow scene or something crazy.
Yeah. I love The Shining, not that much.
So John, it's 7:00.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Do you need to leave, John? I know you.
No, I can hang out for a few more minutes.
Okay.
Party.
I didn't want to keep you past your bedtime or nothing.
I'll give you a couple more minutes and then I'll have to go.
Okay.
But you guys can keep chatting after I leave. It's not like, I have to be here.
I don't know. You're kind
Maybe
of
I do.
Kind of
I don't know.
What were you going to say, Jay? You were going to say something.
Chad, what's that art project behind you? Because it wasn't painted when I watched you on the interview you did with Ross. I don't think.
Yeah, it was the art project.
Yeah. Was it painted? I didn't think it was.
Yeah. I was trying to remember what show I was on recently. Somebody made me pull that out. It's
Boobs.
When you were on with Ross, they were like, "There's boobs in the background."
I know.
It's like in the chat.
Well, the thing was, I started watching. I didn't catch it live when he was on with Ross. I started watching it at work, and it's like, oh shit, there's boobs in the back. I better take it off the computer.
This is Michelle Myers.
Oh, okay.
And it is I painted this about 20 years ago. I'm trying to find my camera on here. I painted this about 20 years ago.
He's trying to get the boobs right in the camera.
Yeah, we just got a warning. Okay.
Yeah, are you getting demonetized now or what?
Did you make the mask as well, or is that just the mask you put on there?
No, it's a mask I bought.
Now I'm sad I don't have any fake boobs in my office.
Why?
Because you're hanging out in the record store.
Yeah, I know.
Pretty much.
You just got this freaky ass.
Got any Pokemon cards in there? He looks like waiting for somebody to come in and look for comic books or something.
No. That is like that. This whole wall here, it's all CDs. That's all that is. And then the rest of it's books.
Does music influence a lot of your writing, John?
What?
Oh, sort of Spun Gunyon. Does music influence a lot of your writing? Sort of Spun Gunyon. That was like
yes.
A lot of it.
Music influences it probably more than authors.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are certain authors that like Lansdale and Bradbury that are always going to be an influence. But yeah, I get a lot of inspiration from music.
What kind? What kind of music?
All kinds, really. I like lots of hard rock and what do you call it, Chad? Butt rock. Hair metal stuff, but I also like a lot of old country, a lot of blues, just whatever.
What about you and Chad and Rob? Do y'all get influenced by music very much?
I definitely do. Yeah, and I think that I create a music playlist specific to the project I'm working on. Mm-hmm. Samson and Denial was a lot of Frank Sinatra and Muddy Waters and Nine Inch Nails and Tool. It depends on the project, but yeah, I'll create a specific playlist, while I'm working on something. Yeah, absolutely.
So Frank Sinatra and Nine Inch Nails go good together, don't they?
Absolutely.
What about you, Chad? Do you get influenced by music very much? Because I know you were in a band and sung and all that kind of stuff before.
Yeah, not really. I mean, the same Deep Water as You wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for the Cure's Disintegration album, for sure. But and I've made playlists before. I made pretty much an all Kiss playlist for Skullface Boy, with the exception of there's a couple songs that he listens to on there, like Alice Cooper's From the Inside album and 38 Special. And then I've made one that's mostly jazz and David Lynch music, which he's not bad. I didn't really even know until like 3 or 4 years ago that he even put albums out. The director, and they're
just
oddball, but
is it like soundtrack stuff, or is it like
no?
Okay.
It's like he's like singing and stuff.
Okay,
and it's
Wow,
not
I
bad.
didn't know that either.
I was really shocked.
We're all gonna be looking it up as soon as we get off this interview here.
Yeah, like Super Happy Clown Time is his name, one of them, or something like that, something Clown Time or something. He's got 2 or 3 out, but I've made playlists like that before, depending on mood. But I usually write in silence or with soundtracks, like or synthwave stuff. Anything that doesn't have vocals, that has like synthwave or like some jazz, not like bebop, like chaotic stuff, like Miles Davis later stuff, but more like smooth jazz type stuff.
The stuff with the lyrics, does it distract you while you're writing? Because like if I'm doing like
Yeah.
if I'm reading, I can't have like the TV on or the music playing or anything because I won't remember what I've read 15 minutes later.
Right.
Yeah, the lyrics distract me, but if it's too like groovy too, I can't really like I can't listen to like Brant Bjork or somebody while I'm doing that, or anything that I'm truly in love with the exception of a couple books here and there that I kind of forced my way through that, and just so that I could, I don't know, get in that certain. But I think it's. I was just talking about this recently, and I think it's something that I want to do more often because I remember writing sometime in the past year. I remember writing a scene, and music came on, and the song that was playing, I think just something randomly was playing, and it changed the whole tone of the scene as I was writing it, and it was like this third hand came in and just helped me. That doesn't sound good.
Is that the Peter?
Yep.
Hit me in the no spot. No, it was just like this extra helping hand that took the scene in a whole, gave it a different tone. Yeah, there's my answer.
We're gonna see all these blurbs in the future. I read this. It was a third hand to help me along. That's what.
It was such a happy ending.
Yeah. Third hand give me happy ending. Not no spot.
Because I know you're on with Ross on Saturday, and I know he's been posting on Twitter. He listens to a lot of like soundtracks while he's writing. I don't know if he talked to any about that while you were on there with him.
I can't remember either because I've done so many of these lately.
I was going to ask, are you getting sick of talking about yourself? Because you've been on
popularity over here.
Jason and Steve and a bunch of other people.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not so much about talking about myself as repeating myself. I get self-conscious, because I feel like everybody watching is going, dude, we know, it's like, well, he asked.
I know we should have watched the last episodes so we wouldn't ask you to say
wrote down this. We should have written down the same exact questions Ross had. Because I know you all doing interviews, you'll have to get asked the same, like who you're influenced by. Like everyone says Stephen King and Clive Barker and all that kind of stuff, and all that kind of stuff. I feel like you as authors doing these interviews, you have to get tired of answering the same questions like that all the time.
I do, yeah.
Come up with fake answers next time.
But at the same time, I'm very grateful that they would.
Yeah, I'm not that you
have me on there.
100%.
Is there a question that you all get asked that you just don't ever want to answer again? Like you're just sick and tired of it?
Anything that's so general that could be asked for, like what got you into horror and that kind of thing. Yeah, I don't really. I'm not any question that's kind of like a general thing, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there with that page. Okay.
Throw that page away.
Yeah.
Where do you get your ideas from?
That one actually. Yeah. That one probably is.
I'm sure they just come to y'all. You don't like. It's not like y'all go to the bookshelf of ideas and pull them off the shelf.
Mail order.
You never know where they're going to come from.
No, I have a mail order subscription. Just get 10 ideas a month.
While I was reading John's book today, finishing up, I remembered something that I don't know if John remembers it, but when I first met him and I had read something of his, I was like, this guy does drugs, because his prose is like, you just can't come up with this unless you're stoned. These metaphors, and if you know John, I don't think he's ever touched anything more than an aspirin in his life. So I was surprised. I don't know if I asked him, dude, do you do drugs or what?
That's the blur for your next. This guy does drugs.
What story
Chad
was
Lutzke.
that?
What story was it?
Yeah.
I don't remember, man. I just remember going, dude, how does a normal person come up with these metaphors?
See, that's where you misstepped. You said
normal.
Normal.
Yeah, that's true.
You can't be normal.
That's just how my brain works. I don't know. I've had people ask me how I come up with those metaphors, and I'm like, it's just how it.
Well,
I don't even talk like that or think of them ahead of time. It's just when I'm writing, that's what happens.
And I know you've got some like in a trunk or just on the tip of your tongue, but sometimes it just feels like, how long did he sit there stalled and come up with this, this beautiful thing?
And that's just your style too, just sort of the metaphor kind of style that you write with.
I actually consciously tried to dial that back on the one that I just finished because I didn't want to just be it's the metaphor guy again. And I don't think I can completely cut it out.
It's sometimes I can get. Well, you toned it way back in Snarl. I thought Snarl was maybe your most kind of straightforward thing that you've written outside of Writing with Bob.
Yeah. And this the one that I'm reading now, John. I agree. The same thing. I mean, it's definitely present. It's definitely there. It's your lyrical, and that's what it is. It's a very lyrical, poetic, just beautiful voice of writing. But I can definitely see that as an effort that you've toned it back in this. There's some parts I'm like, there he is. That's I see it right there. But that's great,
dude. It was probably Dominoes that I read.
Oh, that might have been it.
And you can't blame, if anybody's read that, you can't blame me for thinking John's.
No, that was a dividing one. I mean, people either liked that or they hated it.
I feel like if you cut out the metaphors completely, it wouldn't feel like John Boden wrote it. It would just feel.
I don't think I can do it. I don't think I can cut them out completely.
Or just write a book full of metaphors. That's it. No other.
That's almost what Dominoes was.
That's what Dominoes is, yeah. And it's a shame that nobody.
No transitions, no to context, just metaphor.
It's been out of print for a while. Like right before it went out of print, some dude gave it like a 1-star on Goodreads and said it was the most pretentious, obnoxious book ever.
Did you care about the review though?
No, not really.
Okay.
I just figured he didn't get it.
Oh, that's the kid's book, right?
It's sorta, not really.
Yeah, it's definitely not a kid's book.
Okay, it's got like the little spine on it, like the little golden spine.
Yeah.
It looks
so is it not a kid's book then?
If you want your kids to like
have an acid trip,
hate life, and have nightmares for the rest of their life.
It's just wild.
So why is it? What was the purpose behind making it look like a kid's book? Does that fit in with the story?
I'll give you a story. This will be my parting story.
Okay.
When I worked with Shock Totem magazine, which Ken Wood and Mercedes Yardley and Nick Contor and I started in, I think we started that in like 2009, put some issues out. And then we decided that we wanted to, because we all were also writers. Mm-hmm. I think Ken wanted to start a chat book line. I think that's how it was. And we had several people that helped us out over the years on staff, wanted to take on that project, and he wanted that story because I had written it. I just didn't have anything to do with it because there's no way I could have sold that as just like submitted it somewhere. So we took it on and we decided that we wanted to try and package it as looking like a little golden book for kids. So we took one of the most horrific scenes from the book and we made it the cover. But it's done in such a way that when you look at it, if you glance at it, you're not going to get it.
Yeah.
But once you get to it in the book, you're like, oh my God. And it's just, it was meant to be kind of like it was heavily influenced by a lot of William Burroughs stuff. Like a lot of his cut and paste wordplay sort of pieces. I have a book called This Is Your Final Warning by Tom T.H. Metzger that is very much in that style. That was so I wanted to do something like that where it was just kind of like wordplay, experimental flash fiction stitched together with like lyrics and random lines, and it's got illustrations, and it's just a one-off experimental piece.
I really want to read it, and it's out of print.
It's out of print.
I think I've read it twice. I still don't know what it's about.
It's about John doing drugs.
Sure what it's about.
But just glancing at it, it looks so much like a kid's book. Like someone's going to donate it to a thrift store, not knowing one day, and then the kid's going to pick it up.
I've contemplated putting feelers out to see if anyone wants to take it, but I have to reach out to the artist and see if I've still got control of the artwork, or whether we'd have to strip that out and find a new artist to do illustrations, or it just seems like it could possibly be more hassle than it's worth.
Because I've seen it on Amazon. I was like, I didn't know John wrote a kid's book because I just always assumed it was a kid's book. Show the cover again, Chad.
Mhm.
So yeah, that looks completely innocent, not having any context about what it is.
Well, you can't see the rope around their necks.
Oh, are they all gonna get hung?
Well, maybe.
Well, this show just got dark.
They're all on the gallows.
We're just gonna float it around Twitter now. So
Check out John Boden's kids book that you can't get.
You can't get.
Can't get.
No, I think. I mean, if you it
eBay,
shows up
500
on
bucks.
it shows up on eBay once in a while because I
Yeah.
know somebody recently found a copy somewhere.
Bone, you need
Well,
to
now
do you need to do
everybody's wanting to
afternoon
read it
story times at local libraries with that.
There you go. Gather
Yeah.
around, kids. Gather around.
Yeah, yeah, yep, yep.
I don't know how that would work out.
He wouldn't be allowed to
Uncle-
come back to the library anymore.
No, probably not. No, Uncle Puddin's got a story to tell you. Gather around. kids.
Sit down. It's Uncle Beardy's story time.
And
Well,
then just pull
fellas,
that
it's
one
been
out.
fun,
So
and
much
I
like
appreciate you
kids' book.
having me on. But it is this old man's bedtime.
yeah, John, thanks for coming by. We appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I
So
appreciate
I'm
it.
going to leave the studio, and you guys carry on.
All right, John.
See you, John.
Good
Have a
seeing
good
you,
night,
buddy.
man.
See ya.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, now that he's gone, let's
Talk about him.
talk about him a little bit.
Bob, I did have a question for you. I wanted to ask you about on your YouTube channel. You recently did, I don't know, it's been a couple months ago. You did the fireside readings, which was just
Oh
like
yeah,
epic.
Dude,
It
Yeah.
was so good.
yeah. That
So
was a
good.
blast.
How many
Yeah,
takes did that do? Because that was so well done.
Just one.
Just
Just
one
one.
take.
Well, no, I take it back. There was an edit later on. The angle changed, I believe. So we had to do a couple of inset takes on audio. But yeah, for the most part, just one. And that's I've read Samson. When I first came out, I had practiced that before a live reading so many times. And it's just one of those weird things, man. That opening just stuck in my head. It's just something that's always there now. But that was the first really professionally published novella of mine. And when I launched it, when it came out through Thunderstorm Books, matter of fact. And when that came out, when I was doing the live reading for that, I wanted to make sure that I nailed it and didn't screw it up. So yeah, I had the opening like that memorized, and that freaked people out when I read the opening from memory. They don't know what to think of that.
What's
So it was a
the
lot of
channel
fun.
name?
What's
Got
that?
Rob Ford author. Robert Ford's the channel name.
Yep.
Okay.
So it's 3 minutes, and you had that.
Yeah.
So you didn't have like the notes on the side you're glancing at everything. It was just
No.
all off the top.
No, nothing
Yeah.
like that.
I've seen Bob do that, not in person. I've seen him do it on video. Yeah, by heart, right? Recite that.
Yeah, it was a fun, and that kind of came about. I have a group of friends that I've been just best friends with now for about 30 years or so, and a couple of them are high level in the advertising field and videography field and things like that. So we all came down. We try to get together once a year, and last year we had to skip it because of COVID and things like that. So this year we rented a cabin down in the Carolinas. And every year when we get together, there's always a project.
Fireside.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
You gotta watch it, Jay. It's good.
Yeah.
Not showing up, but it's still, yeah.
But we always do a project, and it's just kind of a fun, way to screw around, and we have a few drinks and just laugh and whatever. And my friend John, he's the one who said, you know what? Let's get you doing a real fireside reading. And it just kind of went from there. So it looked like a Hollywood production set outside at 9 o'clock, pitch black in the middle of the mountains, but it was just a fun time. And then, the next day they just kind of edited the footage together. And my friend Tim, he designed some of the typography and things like that. My friend Mark Eaton, he did the video editing. And it just all came together. So it was a blast. That went over really well as soon as I uploaded it. That got a lot of attention all of a sudden. It was fun.
It looks super professional. It was really well done.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Did you
Brad.
have
That was
outside
fun.
lights and everything besides just the fire? Did you have lights and stuff?
Yeah, but yeah, the guys had brought some equipment with them, not knowing what they were going to necessarily do, but knowing that as we drank more beer, something was probably going to happen. So
Beer next to the fire, that's always safe.
yeah.
It gets better with more drinking.
A little bit, yeah. And my friend Mark, he brought all his DJ equipment, and he had a live DJ stream outside on this big deck out in the cabin. It was, it was a fun time. It was a blast.
So as someone who makes videos, not anywhere near professionals, that I was looking, it's like, is there other lights? Because it's really bright over here. And I was trying to see the reflection in your glasses. And
Right.
it was all really well done.
Well, if you
Yeah.
take the advice of that email, Brad, then
Oh,
you
yeah.
make yours like as good as that. So
Yeah, I got an email. It was like, you want to improve? Can I give you some critiques or criticism or whatever he said? I don't remember.
Right.
It was like, yeah, sure, whatever. He gave me like these 3 links or 4 links. Just like, you can do this to optimize your videos and make better thumbnails and make more professional videos. I was just like, my stuff's not professional.
Gotcha.
That back
What
to
the hell?
sad
Yeah.
face.
it was clickbait. That's what it was.
Yeah, it's clickbait
Oh,
spam or something.
sure.
But-
Sure.
So that video, was that announcing your newest book that you're working on, or that's one that's coming out this year?
Yeah, it's gonna be a novel length sequel to Samson in Denial, and it revolves around a cult that I wrote into the Samson in Denial called the Crimson Sisters. So yeah, it's coming along. It's coming along. It's been a crazy year. It's been a busy year so far, but yeah, that's if things continue to go well, that'll be out by the end of the year.
Nice. And what was the original one? Was what, 2010 or 11?
2011, I believe. Yeah.
Does it feel weird stepping back into that world, 10 or 11 years later?
A little bit, but the character Samson Gallows has been so ingrained in my head. I reached a point where if I was out in public and I walked into a grocery store or a bank or a bar or whatever, I already knew how Samson would react in that situation. So, bits of dialogue started coming to me, and it was just like, okay, it's clearly time to continue on with this story. So yeah, I'm pretty stoked about it. It's coming along pretty well.
Nice. Is that the one you talked about at the very beginning? Your novel you're working on this year?
No, that's actually something else. The one I'm gearing up for right now is brand new. I had the original core concept about 10, 11 years ago, and the title came to me called Domino. And
that sounds familiar.
Yeah, it does. At least that's the working title. But the idea that came to me was a novel set in the racially charged 70s, and a young black teenage girl finds an abandoned white baby and hides it. She takes care of it, but she hides it. And just talking about the community and how everyone reacts, because you can't hide a baby forever. I mean, something's gonna come out. So and yeah, the idea had been kicking around in my head for a long time. And finishing up the novella with these guys, I was like, okay, what's next? What am I turning to next? And I had a couple of novel ideas that I knew had some legs to them, and this one is the one that grabbed me the most. I said, okay, it's time to work on this one. Let's go. So,
do you ever feel like, for both of y'all, if you all have ideas from that long ago that you're worried about you're going to forget about them before you ever get around to actually putting pen to paper at all? Like letting them sit for too long?
I write them down.
Yeah, if they're important, I'll write them down. Yeah, I mean, if they're important, they'll eventually gather strength and say, knock on your head and say, it's time to do this. Let's go.
Yeah.
Do you have any like that, Chad, that have been sitting around for a while you want to work on but you haven't started yet, or thinking about starting?
Yeah, I probably always will. Yeah, I mean, I have a list, of all kinds of ideas. Some I can tell by now that I'll probably never use. Some I'm just not sure how. It's like Bob mentioned, like when you sent that headline to Boden, it's it's like it's a germ of an idea, and maybe I need a little bit more, a little bit more of a direction to head toward. But for now, I've got these, these headlines, these different things that, or sometimes it's just like I'll hear somebody say something and it just taken out of context, it might sound really bizarre, or there's so many unanswered questions, or or a newspaper article kind of thing, and it's like, wow, how does that even happen? Sometimes I don't even want to know. I just like the headline, and then I can answer the questions myself. But yeah, just keep that stuff on a list, and there's it's weird. You can, at least for me, I can be working on something, and then or think I'm going to be working on something, and then like I think I was working on the Neon Owl when I came up with the idea for Cannibal Creator, and then I switched gears, and then I took the next 3 weeks to write Cannibal Creator, and so I think I even announced that I was gonna put Neon Owl was gonna be out by January or something like that. But I should know better. And I've told people before, if you hear me saying, you know, oh yeah, this book's gonna be if I'm in control, maybe not listen to what I'm saying. You know, like the Crystal Lake thing is gonna come out, and some other stuff is coming out this year that I've announced. But if I'm in control, unless you've seen, unless I have a date, or sometimes I don't know what I'm talking about. Because something else would just come in and be like, I guess I got to follow this now.
So how long did you sit on Cannibal Creator before we got it? Before the world got it?
I mean, not at all. I just wrote it right away, and then I sent it to you guys for, yeah.
Because you did that in November, right, Chad?
Yeah, I came up with the idea of
the
end of October, and I was going to write it for NaNoWriMo, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to do something different. I am going to outline, and then I outlined maybe a third of it, and then the first 3 weeks of November I wrote the book. Actually, I made the cover first, didn't write any of it yet, and then
that's right.
And then
I
wrote it. Yeah, because I sent you the cover and you were helping me. Yeah,
like, this is cool. This is great. Okay, what's this for? I haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
All right.
It had that tagline there, like something about a movie or whatever. It's like, is Chad making a movie? What's going on here?
Yeah, that's right. I remember you were showing it. You were shooting around and stuff. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it was Bob who said, he was the first one to say, he's like, I know what you're doing here, and this is really cool, but it might confuse people with the film thing. I was like, screw it, I'm gonna leave it on there.
Yeah. No.
Because it looks like an old VHS cover.
It does.
I did get one message from someone and asked me where they can watch the movie, and I was like, "Oh, sweetheart, it's not a movie." I thought of Bob right away, and I was like,
as soon as I could sell it,
You missed the opportunity, Chad. You should have said it's coming out in spring on Netflix. Tweet that and just let it go viral.
There you go. Hashtag Netflix.
This is true.
Yes, eventually Netflix will cave and go, who the hell? Let's go.
Yeah.
Say right now it's an bidding war between Hulu and Netflix.
Yep.
Tweet it out for us. Let's see if they start doing it.
That's right.
Good idea.
Because I remember you sent it to beta readers in December, and you said it was like, oh, you wanted it, stuff back by like January 15th or some beginning of January.
Yeah.
And like the day I was going to send you my stuff, you're like, oh, I'm done. Here's the arc for it. It's like, okay.
Yeah. Well, what happened was when I send to beta readers, I think any of us would love to have the book the next day, but it's like we're asking a lot to, people to take the time and maybe point out errors or whatever, and help us a little bit with this thing, give us, help us see it better. And because at that point you're standing so close that you can't see. And so it helps to hear other people's opinions. But I heard back so fast from everybody. And that's why, and so I had all of the, like I didn't have anything where everybody was like, saying the same thing, like I didn't like this or whatever, which is usually the one thing that you want to look at. Well, everybody's saying that the ending is too fast, or the end, or something like that. At the beginning is this, but it was mainly just a couple, some errors, and my wife was my first beta reader, and she got early draft before you guys did, and there was a couple things like you cannot have that at the beginning. That is way too hardcore, and the ending needs fixing. And she told me, and so before I sent it out again, I fixed it up. But yeah, so but thank you. I mean, I think I still did put your name in the back of the book in the gratitude
because it was like, I was like, I gotta still have like a week or two left before his deadline. I was like, I'm done. And he sent me that day. He was like, I don't need any more. We're good. Here's the art. I was like, dang. But I just went ahead, did the review really quick because I'd already read it. So
I gotta tell you,
I'm on top of it. I'm like a week and a half ahead.
Yeah. So when I was reading it, I had all of your other books in mind, and they're so emotional.
Yeah.
So I'm reading it, and then the big thing in the beginning that happens that's just caught me off guard. It's like, oh shit, now I have to change my whole mindset for the rest of the book, because I'm thinking we're going to have cannibals with emotions and they're going to talk it out, because this is
life lessons.
This is the stuff that we're used to, like stern sheets and a foster home supplies, like deeper emotional things.
Yeah.
I'm like, and then the big
Oh,
thing in
man.
the beginning that just shocked me. I was like, oh, gee, I got to change my whole mindset for this now.
That's funny,
It's
man.
It's like, oh, I got Peter sticking my teeth. He's picking out with a toothpick.
Nice.
So the one scene, it caught me. Like I was expecting it to be more, quote unquote, extreme from what you normally do. But that one scene, I was just like, okay, I wasn't ready for that. It was just so blunt and like to the point. There was like no
Blunt, no
fanfare
pun
around it, just
intended.
yeah, blunt, no
Yeah,
pun
exactly.
intended. It just happened and that's it. It was like, oh crap, that's pretty extreme.
Yeah.
I know who's not going to be the hero.
Was there anything for that one that you took out? It was like that's too far for me, or is pretty much everything the way it was?
The very first scene when there's a man dismembered and put on that rock, but initially it was a toddler stuffed into a bag and taken out there and dismembered. But my
It's a
wife,
little extreme.
Wow.
yeah. But my wife was like, "You can't do that," and
That was the appetizer to the meal.
I don't always listen to what she says, but I considered it and I thought, you know what? I wasn't setting out to write an extreme book, but I did want some shocks in it, and I want it to be more like kind of like a splatterpunk, where it's it's more hardcore than maybe your average horror book, and definitely more hardcore than the stuff that I usually put out. But then I thought, if I have this here with this baby, the rest of the book is just kind of like you've already hit them too hard,
Yeah.
and maybe the other stuff won't hit as
The other
hard.
thing wouldn't have been as effective at that point.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So I took that out.
That's a tagline.
That would have been a
If you
killer
think this
opener,
is
though.
bad, if you think this is bad, it was actually going to be a toddler.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
afraid of doing stuff like that, but I don't know. It's got to serve the story, I guess, and I saved the baby.
For later.
Was there a
Yeah, for later.
for later? Saved it for later. So
maybe
midnight
the,
snacks,
the,
baby.
maybe the younger writer Chad Lutzke would have used the baby, like we were talking about earlier. Starting out, going a little bit more extreme. So
I don't know.
Was there any specific idea, like before you started the book, about how the cannibals are portrayed in the book? Like, is that sort of what you wanted to focus on, different than how you normally see cannibals? Because they're different in this book. I don't want to give anything away,
Yeah.
for people who haven't read it, but it's not just a random savage tribe out in the jungle eating people. There's more to it than that.
Yeah, that was the goal from the get-go. I wanted to have that kind of setting, and so it would feel familiar. But as far as like the cannibals and kind of who's the enemy kind of thing, I wanted to be different, because I think, and especially with all of the drama, the like intermarital drama and the relationships between all the people, I put all that crap in there because while it's fun to watch this kind of stuff visually, you're investing only 90 minutes of your time, and
Right.
ultimately you want to see how the different ways of how these people get killed, and they're just fodder,
Yeah.
But when you're reading something, you're investing so much more of your time, and I think it's worth it to put in more than just, it's not a visual thing. So for me anyway, I've never read like a straightforward slasher that's done just like Friday the 13th or Halloween. It
Right.
sounds,
Yeah.
Actually I did read the novelization of Halloween 2018, but it just sounds kind of boring without the visual and with just this hack and slash thing. And so I wanted to do more than that. And part of that was me putting a different spin on the cannibals.
Right.
Because
Yeah,
you can
I
only
think-
describe someone getting like stabbed and chopped up so
Right.
many different ways before you start repeating yourself.
Yeah, that's why some of the times that people are hurt in there, it doesn't go into really any kind of detail, and then sometimes it goes into explicit detail.
I think the other connection with the without spoiling, so I'll just say father-son connection gave it that extra emotional connection. So okay, I'm not just watching this tribe kill people and eat them. There's something else here that's fighting, that we're fighting for, to see what happens with, so
Right.
that made the extra connection for us.
Yeah, that's what I was going for. Yeah.
In my review, I said I felt like there was a parallel between the crash victims and being parents and children, and the cannibals being parents and children. Sort of how the dichotomy was sort of the same but different between the two.
Mhm.
Was that something you sort of planned to do, or is that just kind of how it turned out? Sort of this parallel between parenting between the two different
when you
ends of the spectrum.
I guess it's not something I necessarily planned, but when you have that setup with who the cannibals really are, it's kind of inevitable, isn't it?
Yeah.
And like I said, if I'm going to have something that's more than just savages, where they're just like brainless, indigenous people who just, they live to eat other people's
Right.
flesh, then, but instead have like, kind of a different family dynamic than maybe you are used to seeing in a cannibal film,
Right.
or any kind of like even those inbred backwood, Hills of Eyes type.
The Hills of Eyes, yeah.
Where nobody gives a crap about anybody. They're just, they just want to rape and pillage and stuff.
Yeah.
And like some of the cannibal films, like was it Green Inferno, where they're like actually on an island. I feel like they're portrayed to be the bad guys, but they're not really evil because they're just eating what they have around them. It's not like they're purposely setting out to eat people just for the sake of eating people, kind of thing. Does that make sense?
It's not done with ill intent.
Yeah,
Well,
it's just, that's
that,
not
you
all
would
the
think
time.
that, but these people are. I mean, if you're like, hey, this is our thing, we eat people, and then this person is like screaming for a half hour, is it not with ill intent? I mean, come on.
It's like there's something's lost in translation. I don't know what language they're speaking.
I mean, they've all been in pain before, and how do you think it feels to have your leg chopped off and your eyeballs pulled out? And yeah,
that's true.
You might have a point, Chad. You might have a point.
Tastes like chicken.
So would anybody here, if like it was your last resort, do you think you could turn to cannibalism? Like if it was you and a stranger out in a boat in the ocean, and like you had nothing to eat, and that person was just there, do you think you could do it?
For me,
Yes.
man, it's just one of those things where I would have to. Be
Chad's
in
like,
that
I've
situation.
already done it, man.
No, I would have to be in that kind of situation.
Did you not see my review, Brad? I mean,
Like sitting here, I want to say I would do it, but then if I was actually there, I don't know if I could.
Now, are we talking like this person's already dead, or I'm like, dude, I'm hungry, and then I kill him?
Either way.
I wouldn't kill them.
Mhm.
For sure. Would I eat them? I don't know. How much does this person weigh?
They got some good meat on them. You get some good ribs.
Have they
some
been
baby
working
back
out?
ribs are there.
What's that?
for people tuning in just now, hearing us talking about actually eating people, they're like, report us and freak out about it. So,
Like, do they have decent glutes?
They got some good glutes going on.
Some good pecs.
I mean, you can probably eat on them for a few hours before they actually die or something, just
Are they pasture fed, or is it more of a fast food type of diet? or-
exactly.
Is this all organic or
Are
gluten-free?
you doing a survey
Yeah.
ahead of time? Like,
Non-GMO.
do you have any history of like heart disease in your family?
Yeah.
Like if it was family, I absolutely would not be able to do that. But if it was just like a stranger, we crashed on a plane, it's like maybe I could. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a hard question. I mean, killing someone to eat them, yeah, that's a bigger, tougher question to answer. But I think when we get down to it, nobody wants to be in a situation where it's survival. You have to eat meat off of a corpse to survive. But I don't know. I think that's a difficult question to answer until you're there. I mean, that survival instinct might kick in.
Yeah.
You go without food for too long, and you're like, if I'm in a situation where I'm not going to get over the Andes Mountains or whatever it is, unless I eat food of some kind, I don't know.
Yeah.
That survival instinct might kick in for everybody.
Do you think you'll keep it down too? Like, you know what I mean? Because it's to me, it'd just be so nasty. Like, gagging where you're doing it, you eat it, are you going to throw it back up? You know,
I don't know. See, that's a tough question too.
Are we talking raw or cooked?
Well, I mean, if you're out on a boat, like he said, in a situation, it's going to have to be raw.
Man.
Just little strips to make some jerky out of it.
Plus,
I was going to say, because I can probably do cooked.
I feel like too, another factor would be the fact that I knew I'd survive if I ate this person, but I would hate to eat them in vain, you know, and then just die anyway. And I died a cannibal for no reason. That would suck. You know, I also think it would be easier if you were with other people, like the soccer team who was, you know, up in the mountains, and they just put everybody face down, and you weren't alone in this. You know, people were kind of partaking with you because they were doing what they had to do.
Yeah,
I think the decision would be a lot easier.
Well, this has got kind of
dark.
Let's go back to dead toddlers. That was a lot.
There was a comment up here that I passed over for a second, but he wants to know what the fuck is behind you. The baby that's behind you.
Steve, I'm telling you. Okay. You just remember this, Steve. This was shown earlier. This is a custom gift from John Boden. You just remember this, Steve. It's going to haunt you in your nightmares like it does mine. Trust me.
Alicia said something about it too. Creepy baby bear cat.
Oh, it's a baby face kitten. Trust me, you'll remember it when you read Snarl coming up by Boden later this year.
So when you got that in the mail, had you already read the book, or was just like, did you open it? You had no idea what it was at first.
I already read it, and I opened the box because it just arrived unannounced, and I cut it open, and I reacted much like Morgan Freeman in Seven when it,
what's in the box?
Because as soon as I realized what it was, I was like, "Oh, you bastard! I can't even believe." Because it can't throw. You have to have it. You have to keep it. No, it creeps me out. It's always looking over my back. It's always creeping me out. It's terrifying. No.
See, now you need to pay John back in some way and send him something creepy.
Oh, I'm working on it. I haven't fine-tuned it yet, but yeah, I'm working on it. Trust me. Yeah.
Because I know he puts those pictures on Instagram of like all the weird, bizarre, like thrift store finds he has.
Oh,
like,
yeah, the
weird
stuff in
Santa
the
Claus,
shop.
like ceramic things, and
yeah. Oh yeah.
When someone posted a picture of that cat, I thought it was like I thought it came like in a gumball machine, like it was maybe this big.
It was really little.
You know? Yeah, I thought it was real tiny.
Oh no. Yeah, I took a shot of it and posted it. I think after the day or two after I got it. Yeah, it's not tiny. No, that thing's it's terrifying. I thought about putting flour over my floor in the office just to see if it does get up and pat
see if
around.
it's got footprints everywhere.
Nah, it's sketchy as hell. Nah, it's creepy. No.
So I'm surprised you kept it if you're so creeped out by it. Just or worried if you throw it away, something of the worst will happen. It'll show back up.
I didn't think of that before now, Brad, but thank you. No, here's the thing. It's so seldom as an adult that I get creeped out that because I am jaded about everything. Now it's a weird feeling. But yeah, I kind of like it. It's an icy spine feeling, all the time. Keeps me awake.
See, if we were roommates, I would have to move it around the house without you knowing at night and just freak like Elf on the Shelf kind of thing.
Oh man. Yeah, no, I got to get John back on that. That was a good one.
Put it in a litter box.
Yeah.
Does John have cats?
No, I don't.
No, I don't think so. I don't think he does.
Cats.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't believe he does. I'm pretty sure he doesn't. No, just baby face cats. That's all.
Just baby face cats.
Yeah.
I did like what you said earlier. The first sentence for the title or the story. It took me forever to find the cat or whatever you said.
Oh,
it's a good opener.
Yeah. But see, that's the kind of thing we talked about. Where do you getting ideas and stuff? Chad, you mentioned you'll hear something, or sometimes you'll mishear something, and it just triggers a thought and an idea. Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, I gotta
totally different.
Yeah, turn it around. I mean, there's I use the title Bloodle Gum and Lolly Knives, and it's a Halloween sort of story about feral children around Halloween. But that title came when I took my kids trick-or-treating. My son was probably 4.5, 5. And he couldn't pronounce certain words properly yet. So we went out trick-or-treating. I sent him up to the house. He and his sister went up to a household. And he came back, and I was like, what did you get? You know? So he holds up a piece of candy. He's like, Bloodle gum. And it was a piece of like Hubba Bubba or something, whatever. But he's like, Bloodle gum. And I was like, Bloodle gum. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, all right. And that rattled around in my head until one day it was like Bloodle gum and lolly knives. And it just went from there. But
nice.
those mishearings on certain things, you know, just stick. And I get tons of story ideas off of just that kind of stuff alone.
Yeah, I get story ideas from misdirection in film, where I think something, or even a book, I think something could go this way, or it sparks an idea. The book doesn't go this way, but then you just start, like, example would be, I was reading James Newman's Midnight Rain, which is excellent coming of age for fans of Boy's Life for sure. And there was a point in there where the protagonist, he's 12, the main character, he's coming downstairs. I think he's coming downstairs to talk to his mom, and his mom is not like an alcoholic or anything, and she's not neglectful. But I was, as she was coming down the stairs, I kind of paused the book and I was like, what if? And I just started writing my own book, and I was like, what if he came downstairs and she was dead? And then I was like, and what if he didn't tell anybody about it? Well, why wouldn't he tell anybody about it? And so, within, 60 seconds or whatever, I picked the book back, and I'd already written A Foster's Flies in my head, and went back to Midnight Rain has absolutely nothing to do with, any moms dying or anything like that. But it's just an example of how, at least how I can, it's kind of similar to like mishearing something, or just taking something in your own direction, or just, daydreaming about a scenario and what could happen. And that happens when I watch movies too sometimes.
That what if?
Yeah.
Have you ever done that with one of your own stories? Like, if maybe something else would have happened and you could take it off to another direction? Like, what if the plane didn't crash in Cannibal Crater? What would have happened then? Like, it would not be the same horror story, but, things like that.
I probably have. I don't know, though. I don't know that I have.
I've done it to a certain point on note taking. Like, if you get that initial early concept and you're like, okay, this is the start of it. Now, what happens after here? And a lot of times I'll sort of do this, peace sign Y, going, okay, if you go this direction, this could happen and take place. Or if you go this direction, then that could take place. And a lot of times I'll kit those two paths together to see which one feels stronger, or which one's more interesting, or whatever. So I'll definitely stop at a certain point in note taking to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool. I don't think I've heard anybody say that they've done that before, sort of splitting, giving their own options two different ways in which way they want to take it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, because I hate taking the easy path. I think if it's an easy path, it's the one that most people will think of. And that usually to me means it's overused. So I tend to shy away from doing something like that.
Or you
sometimes
get
people saying like, that was predictable and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you sometimes see that in movies, like after the credits will have like an alternate ending,
right?
And it's a little bit different. I mean, you can do that in books too. After the ending, just have, I don't know how people would take it, but it might give like a whole different outlook on the book overall. So yeah.
At the end of Cannibal Crater, it was all a dream, and they just made it safely to their destination, and nothing happened.
Just, and then they woke up.
I can't think of a way to get more hate than doing that.
I feel like anytime that any show, or I don't know if a book has ever really done it that I've read, that it was all fake and nothing really happened. That just like defeats the whole purpose of it happening to begin with.
It
does. Why
did
you take me on this journey if it didn't really happen anyway?
There was a point at some point where that was genius. I'm sure, like
Yeah.
the first person to do that. Wow, my mind just got blown. It was all a dream.
Yeah.
You know, somebody had to come up with that a long, long time ago, and it was genius at the time. And then, yeah,
That's a
like
good,
like the most
a good
infuriating
question,
thing
though.
for people.
Yeah, I wonder who that's a good question to find out who originally used that ending plot device. It was all a dream.
And I wonder if it made people mad back then too.
Yeah, really.
Probably.
I read all this, or
Some old Victorian guy drinking absinthe and just like, screw this, throw it across the room.
We'll find out it was like Shakespeare or somebody.
Yeah. Taking off his powdered wig and throwing it, just angry.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, this has been great. Before we get out of here, before we wind down, where can everyone find you? And I don't mean your house. I'm talking about your socials, your social media
the Wizard
stuff.
of Oz. Yeah, Wizard of Oz was all a dream.
That is
I know.
true. That is true.
Huh?
Chad, you're always hanging out on Twitter, causing trouble. We know. So
yep.
Saying you're gonna put a book out and you don't put a book out on time.
I'm there running my mouth all the time.
causing the trouble.
ChadLutzke.com. There's links to everything on there. My books and social media stuff.
Yeah. And for me, it's robertfordauthor.com. Yep. And that's got, bibliography, basically, just everything's going on there. That's where you can find it.
Cool. And we can look forward to several releases from both of you for the rest of the year, right?
Yeah, I have, I think, at least 4 more books coming out this year.
Yeah, it's going to be a busy year. No doubt about it.
Nice.
I'm really looking forward to y'all's collection with Crystal
Thank
Lake.
you.
I'm pumped for that.
Me too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I usually get those before a couple months before they come out. So yeah, I'm looking for that.
Good. I want you to tease everyone when you get it.
Yeah, I will because
Yes,
I will,
exactly.
too.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm on their list of getting the stuff early. So yeah,
Awesome.
we'll see.
Awesome. Well, thanks
Right.
so much for having us on, guys.
Yeah,
This was a blast.
for John
Yeah,
Boden,
thanks for
who already
coming on.
Flew out of here, and Chad Lutzke, Robert Ford. Can't thank you enough for hanging out with us. Totally appreciate it.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that's been another exciting episode of Paper Cuts. Until we meet again,
Might be the
everyone.
final episode. Depends on what happens in the Super Bowl.
Dude,
We'll see.
we didn't even
We
touch
don't-
on that, did we?
Could be the final episode ever.
Like
Jay's a Rams fan. I'm a Bengals
I think I
fan.
really
We
am
might
the
fight.
only Ohio guy that's not rooting. Even my wife's rooting for the Bengals, and she doesn't even watch football. So
Because you're a hater,
Oh,
Jay.
man.
You hate on Joe Burr. Just Burr.
I don't. No, hey, Ohio State messed up by not keeping them. So that's my whole thing. But we could go
That's
another
your
5
play,
hours on this. I've been a Rams fan since I was born in the late '70s at some point. So, all right,
We
gotta get out
might
of
be back. We might not. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens on Sunday.
here. Stay safe,
All right,
everyone.
Thanks, you guys.
Bob,
See
Chad,
ya.
thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah.